If your baby has been diagnosed with HIE at birth and now doctors are watching closely to see how your baby might develop, you may be wondering, is there going to be a subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis that's going to be on the horizon? That thought can sit heavily on parents, especially when no one is really giving you any clear answers early in the process. So let's talk about what cerebral palsy or CP looks like when it starts from an HIE injury and how it can show up differently than other types of injuries sometimes. HIE happens in our context when a baby's brain doesn't get enough oxygen or blood around the time of birth. And when certain parts of the brain have been affected, movement and muscle control can be impacted on the long term for your baby. Now, CP or cerebral palsy, that is a broad term. It doesn't always look the same from one baby to another. But when it comes from HIE, it's going to usually connect back to a specific event or time during labor or delivery. And that can be different from other forms that might come from genetic changes or infections earlier on in pregnancy. And here's why all of this matters. Doctors may have done an MRI or some type of imaging shortly after your baby was born. And in some of these cases, that scan can show patterns that can line up with the lack of oxygen during birth and an HIE brain injury. Those early findings can give some idea as to what challenges might come for your baby later down the line. But parents often will notice things even before follow-ups or therapy appointments even begin. You may have already seen that your baby's body feels a little bit too stiff at times, or maybe your baby's body feels floppy. Maybe diaper changes feel harder than they should because the legs resist moving. Some babies, they will clench their fists a lot or seem to always turn their head to just one side. You might notice that your baby is struggling to lift their head during tummy time or doesn't like to bear weight on their legs when you try to hold them up upright. Sometimes one side of the body, it might seem stronger or more active than the other side. And in other cases, it's not just one side, but it could be the whole body that seems to lag behind with movement. Things like rolling over or reaching for toys or trying to sit up might come later than what is expected for them. These are the kinds of signs that parents tend to notice first. And you don't need to wait for someone else to bring these things up. If you're seeing some of these things right now, you can ask your doctors about these things right now. You can ask to see if there are certain types of tools or neurological exams that can help doctors be able to determine how your baby's brain is communicating with their muscles. And depending on the findings, therapy can begin sooner rather than later if you have these types of concerns. The earlier that these things are addressed, the better chance that your baby has to make progress and to be able to have a better future for them. Now, in some families that I talked to with what happened during labor or delivery, that things may have actually been preventable for them. And that's why it's worth understanding what actually happened during labor and delivery. Sometimes there were signs of distress that were there, and sometimes the response was delayed. These types of details during your labor and delivery, they actually matter. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and if you have any other questions about your baby's HIE brain injury at birth, or maybe they now have a subsequent CP diagnosis, if you have these types of questions from a medical legal standpoint, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. You could find out more information about me in my profile. You can find out information about me there. If you are watching this video on certain types of apps, you can send me a DM and we could chat a little bit about your baby story or what you have going on, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows this video. All right, that's going to be it for this morning's quick educational video. And now I can go ahead and get ready to get my day started. Take care, everybody.